Welcome to another edition of Danny's Hot Takes. Today, I'll be reviewing the Warhammer 40,000 Crusade Beyond the Veil mission pack. And so today I'm joined by my co-host, John.
Hello.
Hi, John. And I, of course, am Danny, as per the title of this particular segment. And so we're just going to...
John's Hot Takes.
John's Hot Takes is something totally different that is not appropriate for YouTube. That's on our OnlyFans site.
There was that first 30 seconds.
Anyway, so we're going to be going over some of the rules for the Beyond the Veil mission pack. Man, this is such a cool supplement. I'm really glad that they're releasing stuff like this. I hope that they continue to release stuff like this. I played the Crusade of Fire book that Games Workshop released in 6th edition, and then I played the heck out of that all through 6th and 7th edition. It was so much fun. I'm really glad to have kind of a template for some cool narrative campaigns.
And I love that they're expanding just the Crusade base
Yes.
set, which is a really good base set of rules.
And like all these new codexes and stuff that are coming out are going to have these rules in them as well, with additional rules for your army specifically. So I'm very hype. Anyway, so let's open this bad boy up. Oh man, first of all, like I open up this first page. This artwork is so phenomenal. It's this scene of like this sea of Necrons walking towards the viewer. And it's like there's glowing green and some fires from where they've, I don't know, probably disintegrated somebody.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, for sure. And so, man, the artwork in here is super cool. All right. So we're going to be going over the contents of this book, including what the Pariah Nexus is. And I won't touch on the fluff. We're going to more look at what the gameplay is. And the options that you'll have. The fluff is super good, though. You should totally read it. The Indominus novel kind of touches on some of this, so it kind of goes through some of these concepts. And it was a pretty decent novel. So I'd recommend that one if you want to check it out and get a little bit more background information on what's going on in the Pariah Nexus. Basically, the Necrons turn off people's emotions and things like that. So they
turn everyone goth.
Yeah, that's what it is.
They open a hot topic.
It's like a hot topic, but with more particle disintegration, you know, that kind of stuff, and more quantum mechanics and non-Euclidean geometry. Anyway, so the first section of this is how to set up your Beyond the Veil games. And so this is more or less a reprint of the rules for setting up a game, a Crusade game. It does have the select agendas section as well, and there's some unique agendas that you can select, that you can pick from for the Pariah Nexus as well, which is pretty cool. So it's pretty standard. Determine the mission, and there's 6 missions for every battle size. So it actually has. So there's 24 new missions in here. I won't touch on all of them, but I will be going through some of the ones that are really cool. There's one in particular where you're exploring this deserted city that John and I are like both pretty hype on. It seems like a really fun mission.
It seems amazing.
It's spooky in the city, so you have to have friends.
Like I love the deployment map. Like I think that I was like flipping through, and I saw that one. I'm like, yes. Don't care what this one is. We're doing this one.
It's awesome. So you read the mission briefing. You determine your theater of war effects. And so there are some afflictions and some strategic setbacks, which are all really fun. And like will totally add some really cool, fun twists to your games. So even if you play the same mission, you probably won't play the same mission twice the same way.
Fingers crossed.
Which is cool. Right, of course. So yeah, then you do that. You muster your army. You set your agenda. You create the battlefield, determine attackers and defenders. Then you place the battlefield or the objective markers. Choose your deployment zones. Declare your transports and then deploy your armies. Do all the normal stuff for the game. But there's also some steps at the end of the mission that you wouldn't normally find, like in the GT pack and things like that. So you have the update Crusade card step, which goes like taking out of action tests and getting battle scars, allocating experience points, determining battle honors, update your combat tallies, and then update your order of battle.
I mean, I do like that a lot of these rules are being reprinted, and it seems to be like a standard layout of how games and missions should go. So there's like no real surprises, maybe like 1 or 2 extra steps.
The thing I quite like about this too is it also has the base rules for Warhammer 40,000 reprinted in as well. So Like it has all the same rules that you would find in the chapter approved book or the main rule book that you have. So you don't have to carry a bunch of extra books with you. Literally, you carry this and your codex,
which was a complaint coming out of 8th even.
100%.
Was all the things where they're kind of combining 2 or 3 different books in each of these publications. So it's not like we have an ever increasing stack.
Right. Unless you're going to bring a ton of allies, and then that's on you. Right, John?
Don't blame them for your mistakes.
Right. So here's some agendas that they have. I thought that these were really fun. So the first one, and this is probably my favorite one too, is for Purge the Enemy. It's called Ambush. Keep an ambush tally for each reinforcement and strategic reserve from your army. Add 1 to a unit's ambush tally for each time it destroys an enemy unit. Adding an additional 1 if it destroys an enemy unit during the turn in which it came in from reinforcements or strategic reserves. Each unit in your army that has 2 or more marks on its ambush tally gets an experience point. And the unit that has the highest ambush tally gets an additional 1.
That's really good.
That seems like fun, man. Like your Terminators and stuff coming in from Deep Strike, like killing guys, and then like those are the ones you want to focus on getting some experience for.
Sure, and then cool. Like especially because it's kind of a Necron focused mission pack, like your Death Marks coming down.
Yeah, coming down and blasting a character. I love it. So no mercy, no respite. You have Extermination Order. So keep an extermination order tally for each unit in your army at the end of the battle. Add 1 to a unit's extermination order tally if it destroyed enemy units during that battle round. Each unit from your army that has 3 or more marks on its extermination order tally gets 2 experience points. So that's pretty cool. You can definitely get some experience points there. You've got martial forces. So this one basically is if you have a character within 3 inches of the center of the battlefield, you get 1 experience points. You put a tally on that character, and then for every 3 tallies, he gets 1 experience point. So you can kind of level up your character if you want to.
Yeah.
And so all of these are great because they allow you to select it. They allow you to select units that you want to try and get better, which I think is really interesting. And then you have things like for shadow operations, uncovering answers, like what's going on in the Pariah Nexus, make contact. Who are these Necron characters and what are they doing? You've got Warpcraft, because obviously the Necrons, they don't like Psychers. Those guys are jerks, and witches. And so they have, through the stillness, so Psychers can try and like kind of send a psychic message through like the dampening effects of the Pariah Nexus.
Good luck.
Yep. Or Psychic Beacon, please help us. We're dying.
Good luck.
Because we ain't going in there. And then they have some specific battle traits for the Pariah Nexus too, which I think is pretty cool. So these ones are like, you've got veterans of the Pariah Nexus to where you ignore the afflictions rules. So like if there's something bad that happens, like your unit is like, no, dude, we've been here. We've seen that before. Shit's weak.
Pretty good.
And then you have Strength Through Faith. Once per battle, you can reroll a single to hit, to wound, damage, or saving throw for the unit. And then Crusaders, you get to re-roll dice rolls of 1 or 2 for advancing in charges and re-roll morale tests.
That's really good.
That's pretty cool. I like this one too for vehicles. It's called Shield of Logic. Whenever a model in this unit would suffer a wound in the psychic phase, roll a 1d6 on a 5+, the wound is not lost. So they're like, dude, psychic powers aren't real. I know what's real, okay? And I can tell you right now that didn't happen. That's fake.
In the Pariah Nexus, like birds aren't real. Magnus isn't real.
He's got bird wings, man. He's halfway there. Then you've got Throes of Rage for monsters, and basically monsters go crazy because they're super pissed they're in the Pariah Nexus. Like, why'd you bring me here, you jerks? And then for characters, you have Emboldening Aura. And this gives an aura to a character where other models within 6 inches can use his leadership characteristic, which is pretty cool.
It's pretty good.
Yeah. And there's also some special relics. Now, these relics are really cool in that when you give these relics to a character, at the end of the battle, you can roll a d6 for each of the ones that you give. And on a 6, they super power up.
Nice.
Yeah. Necrons get +4 to that roll.
Of course.
Because they're their artifacts, man.
I mean, that's fair, actually. Yeah.
So, like, if I'm playing Necrons in this, I don't know. Like, I want my opponent to have a fun time and a fair time. Like, I probably wouldn't take +4 to this. That seems like a little bit of a home field advantage.
You would only take, like, the +3.
I'll negotiate. We'll meet you halfway. How about just +2? So, like, Blackstone Ankh is a 6-up Feel No Pain. So a 6+, they ignore wounds. If it's empowered, it becomes a 5+. Then you have the Solar Shift Core. So this one lets you reroll advance and charge rolls made for the character's or by the bearer's unit. And then if you unlock its power, he also ignores Overwatch and Set to Defend, which is cool.
That's really good.
Yeah. Then you've got some special super good relics. You've got the Hieroptic Staff. Is that right? Yeah. Yep, that's it.
Hieroptic.
Hieroptic. Thank you.
No. Hieroptic.
No.
Yeah.
Hieroptic?
No. Hieroptic.
Hieroptic. So this gives your character an aura of subtract 1 from the attack characteristic of models. And then if you have that are within melee range, or if you superpower it, it's -1 to the attack characteristics of models within or units within 6.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. You have a really cool rod, rod of lambient energy. Oh, yeah, cool. Great, good one, John. Oh, man, fantastic. So this is like a melee weapon that you can hit people with. +2 strength, -1 AP, 2 damage. However, if you empower it, it's +3 strength and 3 flat damage. So you give that wimpy melee character a real beat stick.
Hey, did I ever thank you for not taking that full +4 on those relic rolls?
Not yet. And then the Sphere of Darkness lets you deny a psychic power every turn. And then if you empower it, it gives you a +1 to that roll.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, that's pretty nice. Especially if you're playing Necrons.
So some of those don't seem like super overpowered.
No.
But the ones that are, man,
they could be really
good.
cool.
Yeah.
They seem like a lot of fun. And basically, so the battle scars that you can get for your units when they don't necessarily die but get hurt real bad and you have to roll, they're all about making your guys go insane, which is totally rad. Like you've got things like Unnerved, Creeping Chill, Frenetic. Then you've got Suffocating Madness for Psychers or Self-Preservation for characters, Systems Inertia for vehicles, and what word is that? Stultified? Stultified. I don't even know what that means, to be honest with you. I think I have a pretty good vocabulary.
Yeah.
Right.
Apparently not.
Anyway, have the attack characteristic of a model in the unit. Each time they make its attacks, you can reroll 1 to hit roll. So he's like, he's trying to hit, but he's not doing a great job of it. In addition to like getting requisition points and things like that for finishing battles, there are also investigation points that you can get.
I was going to say, according to Urban Dictionary, stolify is the act of making something stolen.
I think you are. All right. Anyway, maybe it's stultified. I don't know. You know what? I'm sure that I'm going to get a YouTube comment about how much of an idiot I am. So just go ahead and tell me what it means, guys, please. Because I didn't look it up ahead of time. All right. So you get these points for winning battles. Certain battles will give you more points, investigation points. And you can go ahead.
To have a dulling or inhibiting effect on.
Stultified?
Stultify.
Okay. Thank you. That makes sense.
Now I feel smarter.
Yeah. Well, it's good for once.
Doesn't happen often during our recording.
Hey, cool. We had the same joke. All right. So these let you spend these investigation points or IP on different things. You can spend them at the end of the battle or before the battle. You can study the Necron artifact that you have to try and unlock its power. You can do some mental conditioning. You can find a supply cache so you can replenish some of your units and things like that. Instead of spending your requisition points on that, you can spend your investigation points instead. You can even just spend 4 investigation points and get a requisition point. So there's a lot of different things all the way through strength through adversity. And strength through adversity is 9 investigation points.
It takes a lot of hard investigation to make that happen.
And so you automatically choose one of your units to get a battle honor.
But that is a really good thing to investigate how to do.
That's pretty good, yeah. Hey, how do you guys get better? Okay, cool, let's do that. All right, and so the next we have the Theater of War Pariah Nexus. And so this is very similar to the Theater of Wars that you found in... were those in chapter approved?
I believe so. Weren't they in the Apocalypse books too? Not for 9th edition, but back in the day, all the different Apocalypse war zones.
Right. And so this kind of goes through some of those. So you have strategic setbacks and afflictions. So you can choose with your opponent if you want to do these or not. You don't have to. But you roll a D3 or a D6 for strategic setbacks and afflictions, respectively. So strategic setbacks is like disoriented approach, which means that your units deploy in random sections of your deployment zone. Deferred reinforcements means that they cannot be set up until the third or subsequent battle round, and they have to be deployed 12 inches away from enemy models.
That's really mean.
That's bad for people who have stuff in reserve.
Yeah.
So in those kind of situations, like you're like, should I deploy in strategic reserve? Yeah, probably not. I'm just going to start with my normal stuff on the table.
Let's just have more tearing go shut off the table rather than not be able to be deployed.
Able to come on ever. And then you have faltering deployment, which is so let's see here. So after declaring reserves and transports, each player must separate the remaining units of their army into parts. Each part must include at least one unit. If a player does not have into 3 parts, sorry, so you have to have 3 parts. So basically split your army into 3 parts and they walk in every turn as reinforcements.
That's pretty good. We played a similar mission to that.
What was that? That was
one of the Psychic Awakening missions.
Oh yeah, where like where all my Marines came on the back table edge or whatever.
Yeah, where like your sister started on the table and I almost tabled your sister's turn 1, and then you came on with Marines and then introduced me to Iron Hands.
Hey John, how does this look? Not good, Danny. Not good.
That's how I learned about 2+3 rollables.
Yeah, fair point. And then you've got afflictions. So afflictions are like kind of like battlefield effects. So you have things like laboring machines. So you subtract 6 inches from the range characteristics of weapons with a range of 24 inches or more. And if it has less than 24 inches, then you subtract 3 inches from it. And you also subtract 3 inches from the move of vehicle and biker units. So things like that. So also like smothering silence, subtract 1 from psychic tests and deny the witch tests.
Which can be combined really well with some of those denies and bonus to denies that you saw earlier.
The nice thing about smothering silence, though, is that you don't suffer perils ever.
Fair.
That's cool, but still sucks. Then stilling, subtract 1 from the advance rolls for units and subtract 1 from the strength characteristic of all models. Ugh, that would be bad.
That would be very bad.
So some really cool stuff in those. And then we're on to the missions, baby.
The fun part.
For sure. So again, there are so many of these missions. Like I'm not going to go through every single one, but all of them have really cool abilities or really cool mission-specific rules. So the ones I'm going to go over, let's see here. Anomalous readings was pretty fun. So this one has mission rules targeting disruption. While a unit is within range of an objective marker that is not deactivated, each time a model in that unit makes a ranged attack, subtract 1 from that unit's attack roll. So you're -1 if you don't deactivate the objective markers. And so there are 2 objective markers on the table, and the mission objective is progressive objective. So you control 1 objective marker, you deactivated 1 objective marker, or you destroyed 1 or more enemy units that were within range of an objective marker. And you get 10 victory points for each of those to a maximum of 30.
That's really good.
Yeah. And so you can take an action to deactivate the node. It just starts at the end of your movement phase, and you're within range of an objective. And it's completed at the end of your turn so long as that unit is still within range of the objective marker and there are no enemy units within range of it. After you complete the action, it's been deactivated, and the targeting disruption ability above does not apply. At the end of each battle round, the player who went first rolls 1 dice for each deactivated objective marker. On a 1, it counts as being reactivated.
See, I like stuff like this, right? Where it's like playing with things and kind of adding that random chance.
Right. And just like cool little things like that. I think that's pretty fun.
Like it's not game breaking if it goes against you, but it feels like, I don't know, like part of the Crusade story, which is how these things should be.
Exactly. And each of these missions has a special victor bonus. So the victor can choose 1 unit from their army, excluding characters, vehicles, or monsters. That unit gains a battle armor. Oh, if the unit can gain a battle honor, it gains the battle-tested battle trait from the Warhammer 40k core rulebook. And make a note of it in its Crusade profile and increase its Crusade points accordingly. So that's pretty cool. So each of these missions will have like kind of a special thing that you get for actually doing the mission. There's line and weight, which is really fun. Power spike, and these are all combat controls. So these are small table missions. So they only have usually between 2 and 4 objective markers. Regroup is pretty fun. It has deployment zones in each corner. So each player has 2 deployment zones.
Oh, I like those.
Yeah.
I like those a lot.
And so you have to, when it's your time to set up, the player must set up 1 unit from their army at each of the deployment zones. And if a player has an odd number of units, the final unit can be set up in either one. But you have to alternate, or you have to put 1 unit in each of the deployment zones anytime you deploy.
That adds like such an annoying layer of thinking.
It's pretty fun. I think that's great.
Like especially for me, just to speak personally, when like where I want my stuff kind of balled up.
Right.
Like,
and so
which units do I throw away by throwing them on the bad side of the table? Yeah.
Well, the goal is to meet in the middle here for the regrouping zone, because this mission is called Regroup, which is a 6-inch bubble in the middle. And you'll score 10 points for each of the following conditions if you have 1 or more units wholly within the regrouping zone, or if 1 or more enemy units were within the regrouping zone but have since been destroyed. And then you have an endgame objective of consolidating forces. So if a player has more units wholly within the regrouping zone than their opponent at the end of the battle, they score 20 victory points.
20?
Yeah.
Oh. That's a pretty good one.
That's a pretty, yeah. Well, some of these ones are like, okay, so full disclosure, some of the missions give you a bonus of 90 victory points if you complete the objective. But that's because the whole game revolves around doing that one thing.
Yeah.
So like, you know, like the Last Stand one we played in 8th edition?
Yes.
Like with my Canoness, and like her whole job was to prevent you from controlling that objective.
Right, and the one thing I couldn't do was murder that Canoness, and that lost me
So
the
beefy.
entire game.
Yeah, dude.
Not that I'm bitter.
No, I'll just remember it for the rest of my life and hold it against you.
I love miracle dice that just ignore everything I do. Or when you save your miracle dice to purely out of spite, keep that person alive.
Keep that person alive. Yeah, sure. So the next one I'm going to talk about is the Incursion mission, The Stilled. This one's pretty cool. At the start of each battle round, starting with the player who's taking the first turn, the players alternate selecting an objective marker and rolling off with their opponent. The player who rolls highest can move that objective marker a number of inches equal to the highest dice roll. If the dice roll's a tie, the objective marker doesn't move. Each objective marker can only be selected once per battle round.
I like that. I mean, that goes back to almost like the Drunken Commander stuff that was happening in the Open War deck. But
exactly.
It really fits with the whole Pariah Nexus kind of ideology and kind of ideals about what's happening in there.
Yep. And like, what is actually going on?
Yeah.
And so the mission objective is just control the objectives. There are 3 objectives in the middle of the table, John. And so
that's it.
3 objectives. You score 10 points for each one you hold. And the end game objective, if you control all 3 at the end of the game, score 30. So like if you can pull off that end game, like last turn kind of stuff, like you
a
can
lot of the stuff from this pack is really pulling in the end game stuff.
Yep, for sure.
Gonna have to rethink some lists.
The victor of this battle can select 2 units from the army to be marked for greatness instead of just 1. So that's cool. So 2 units can potentially get battle honors.
Sure. And then, well, especially because it seems to be like really hard to get those end game points.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay, so the next one is Eldritch Encounter, which I mean, I like the idea behind that.
Love it. So it's all squid based, obviously.
I think it's ghosts.
Squid ghosts.
Squid ghosts. Yep. So so don't generate a strategic setback for this mission at all, because it has this one: reinforcements en route. Each player must place half of their units into strategic reserve. It does not cost any command points. And so this one is
I'm a fan.
Yeah, I like that already. And so this one is a pointy Dawn of War deployment, and there are no objective markers.
Wait, what?
There are no objective markers in this mission.
So what's primary?
Okay, that is drive them back. At the end of each battle round, a player scores 10 victory points if more enemy units than friendly units were destroyed during this battle round. This mission objective cannot be scored in the first battle round. And then there's also, that's the progressive one, and then they have an end game one. Each player scores 20 victory points if they have any units wholly within their opponent's deployment zone at the end of the game.
That's pretty good still.
Yeah, I think that's fun. It's just a killing mission. That seems cool. I like that it's like...
I sort of like that there's no objectives in that one, if that makes sense, because it really like goes to the theme of like you have to kill.
Right, exactly. So continuing on, we're going to skip past the incursion mission. It's as cool as that. Man, I really like this. A flanking maneuver one that's really cool. This one is awesome. So it's called Fighting Retreat.
Okay.
And it has, you divide the table in half, corner to corner.
Perfect.
Like kind of like, Vanguard deployment
Like
or whatever,
how you
right?
should cut a sandwich.
Oh man, you have no idea how correct you are. That is 100% correct.
I'm just saying like really hot takes right now to make people really kind of foam.
Yep, I really like to cut my hot dog like that too.
The best sandwich?
The finest of sandwiches. Anyway, so this one has objective markers that you kind of count down to. So the first one is there's one that starts in the center of the table, and then you have objective 2, 3, and 4, and 5, and they go in a line perpendicular to the deployment. So here, John, check this out.
Okay.
So John has an idea of what I'm talking about.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. All right.
I want to be defender.
Of course you do. So this one doesn't have strategic setback because I think they figure it's hard enough as it is. And so the attacker's battlefield consists of the 2 battlefield edges, and the defender's battlefield edge consists of 2 battlefield edges that extend halfway along those edges. So the defender's deployment zone is huge. The attacker comes in from the sides, and so the defender cannot put any units in strategic reserve before the battle, and no more than a quarter of the units in their army can be reinforcement units. So summoning, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
By reinforcements, I mean like deep strikers.
But I can still summon like all my stuff.
Right, because this is for fun, so you can summon for free.
Yes.
Yeah.
By the way, I'm painting a shitload of demon units.
Yeah, great.
completely unrelated.
All right, so after deploying or declaring reserves and transports, the attacker does not deploy their army as normal. Instead, the attacker automatically has the first turn, and during the reinforcement step of the movement phase, they set up all the remaining units from their army wholly within a distance equal to the move characteristic of any of the unit from any of their battlefield edges. So they like drive on in the first turn, right?
Nice.
Or run on the first turn. Let's see here. And so during the turn in which a model, and they also have to be 9 inches away from the from enemy models as well. And so the mission objectives are hold position. So at the end of each battle round, a player scores 20 victory points if they control the objective marker whose number corresponds with the number of the battle round. So like you're scoring 20 points as you're falling back into the corner.
That's a really cool mechanic, and I instantly want to play that mission.
Yeah, dude, it looks super fun. And at the end of the battle, a player scores 40 victory points if they control objective marker 5.
That seems really cool.
That seems awesome, man. So yeah, that one seems really fun. I'm super excited to play that one. Let's see, there's Assault. Oh, I wanted to go over this one because I thought that this one has kind of maybe a cool rules preview in it.
Okay.
So this is called Assault on the Installation.
Oh, yeah, I remember you saying this one.
Yeah, okay. So you place 3 objective markers on the table, and then you can take this. They have to be 9 inches away from any deployment zones and 18 inches away from other objective markers. So you can take an action called Power Conduit. If one or more infantry units from your army can attempt to perform this action at the end of your command phase, each unit from your army that starts to perform this action must be in range of a different objective marker. If this action is successfully this action is successfully completed at the start of your next command phase, and so that ties in with the progressive power conduit. Now, the thing that's interesting in here is the quantum shield generators.
That sounds like a familiar term.
Yeah, so Necrons have this rule called quantum shielding, and I kind of wonder if this is the new quantum shielding rule, and that would be cool because I know there's a lot of people that don't like the quantum shielding rule as it currently is written.
This guy.
Yeah, John. Mostly just John.
Necron players love it.
They sure do. It's nice to not have to be afraid of a volcano lance.
Like, it just doesn't feel cool. Like, I understand what like quantum shielding is meant to do, but like, I don't think it's meant to be a thing where you ignore last cannons and Melta only to die to 8,000 bolter shots,
which is what happens.
Yeah.
So this gives models get a 5+ invulnerable save against ranged attacks while they're in range of an objective marker, and when making a ranged attack against a unit within 3 inches of an objective marker, to wound roll of 1 through 3 always fails, irrespective of any abilities of the weapon or the model that's making the attack has. So it basically gives these models transhuman physiology and a 5+ invulnerable save.
Which is fair. Like, I think, like, because that like reflects the fact it's harder to wound, it's harder to damage,
right?
But it doesn't make it impossible for something.
And you get an invulnerable save, which is a big deal for like a lot of Necron units that have traditionally pretty crappy saves, and they have low toughness.
And you have now like what your the arcs that now have like 3+, 5++.
According to the data sheets that come in the new boxes, the arcs have a 3+ armor save now instead of a 4+, which is great. So yeah, I'd be fine with that if that was the rule. That seems fine. Yeah, no complaints from me. Anyway, this has the hold position progressive objective. So at the end of a player's command phase, the player whose turn it is scores 5 victory points for each of the objective markers they control.
It's pretty
to
good.
A maximum of 15 because there's only 3 objectives. And then power conduit, score 5 victory points each time a unit from your army successfully completes the power conduit action. And neither of them can be scored in the first battle round. If you win this mission, you can use the increase supply limit requisition twice before the next battle without spending any requisition points.
That's really good.
That's pretty freaking
something
cool.
Like when we're looking at Crusade list building was not maxing out your units right away for things like that RP action.
Yep, for sure. Let's see here. So there's the Passage of Dread. Oh, this is the one that John and I were talking about called Abandoned City.
Yes.
Yeah.
We're playing this one.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. So you can see there's ruins in each. There's 3 ruins in each deployment zone, and then also 3 ruins in the middle of the table. So you create an even grid. The area terrain has to be 8 inches apart from one another to kind of make it harder for a unit to like go from one to the next one. Like they're going to have to make some moves. Anyway, all infantry units or more than one or more infantry units can investigate the area. This is an action. So every model in each unit from your army that starts to perform this action must be within one area terrain feature that has not been investigated by your army. If the highest leadership characteristic in the unit is 7 or less, an infantry unit must be within 6 inches of another friendly unit in order to start the action. Dude, it's spooky.
Yeah. I wouldn't want to do it.
No, I'm not going to go in there. Dude, you guys watch my back.
Now, you imagine my Plague Marines arguing about who checks it.
Yeah, but your Plague Marines have high enough leadership, they can just do it themselves. They're like, we're
fine,
brave.
whatever.
Now, the cultists or the Poxwalkers, maybe not.
Man, I want to see a Poxwalker arguing about who goes in there. That's the way.
Dude, that place looks so clean. I don't want to go in there.
I'm scared of bleach.
Yeah, right. It's a medical facility. Dude, don't make me go in the hospital. They have vaccinations in there.
Comes out just a regular cultist.
Oh my God, look what they did to Jimmy. All right, and so the end game objective is investigate the city. At the end of the battle, each player scores victory points as follows: 5 victory points for each area terrain feature within their deployment zone that has been investigated by their army. 10 victory points for each area terrain feature that is not in either player's deployment zone that has been investigated by their army, and 15 for investigating terrain in your opponent's backfield. So it's all about investigating these sites. Like, it's not even about killing them. You may want to kill your opponent just to stop them from being able to score. But otherwise,
you just want to be investigating.
You just want to keep investigating. So you want to keep pushing forward and be fast and kind of get around the city, which is cool. It sounds like a really fun tactical mission.
It does.
For sure. Let's see. You've got Fueled by Faith. Last Stand. Oh, this is one of the ones I was talking about, John.
Okay.
So let's see here. So this one has kind of a box that the defender deploys in that's 36 inches wide. And let's see, 18. What's 18 minus 30?
It's going to be 12. Minus 12.
Yes. No, 44. So 18 minus 44 is 22? 26. All right. So
Years of selling carpets come in handy.
you did it, John. So the attacker has like a 10-inch deployment zone that's like Dawn of War, and the defender has one that's 36 inches wide, but is like 16 inches deep. So they kind of have like a longer box to kind of fill out. So the defender can't have any units other than aircraft and strategic reserve, and none of its units can be reinforcement units.
It's pretty good.
They have to be all in, so to speak.
Because they're defending.
Yeah, and if you have a unit that has to deep strike, like drop pods, you deploy the drop pod in the deployment zone.
So just this one confused drop pod. The machine spirit's like, how do I get out, guys? How do I get out?
Why did you deep strike here? I don't know, man. But it looked like a party. We were having fun. And so the progressive objective for the attacker is at the end of each battle round, the attacker scores 15 victory points if any enemy units were destroyed during the battle round. At the end of the battle, the attacker scores 15 victory points if there are no models from the defender's army in the defender's deployment zone.
Oh.
Now, the defender, at the end of the battle, and this is called last stand endgame objective, at the end of the battle, the defender scores 90 victory points if any models from their army, excluding aircrafts or buildings, are within their deployment zone.
9-0.
90. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So it's
So you better table me.
yeah.
And I will
Otherwise,
be doing my damnedest to not get tabled.
because you're going in obviously with your 10 points for painting. So
Of course.
So you survive and you get 100.
Yep. If you don't wipe me out, I win.
I really like that though.
I think
to
it'll be fun.
honest. Yeah.
Yeah, I think so this is a great mission, especially if you're playing a campaign. If the person is the underdog,
Right.
like they're going in, they're not winning the campaign very hard. Like you can say, okay, well, let's play this one. This one is like, I think probably pretty hard for the defender to lose, but at the same time, it creates a super fun mission where you're like, all right, I'm going all in. I'm going to crush you. So, which is pretty rad. All right. And then finally, we're on the Onslaught missions. And these are the big boy missions, John.
They are. 2,000 points or higher.
No, these are the 3,000 point and higher missions.
Oh man. Look
Yeah,
at me
that's
not
right.
reading the book.
All right. So let's talk about the Wanderers.
Okay.
So this is a 6 objective mission where everything is in no man's land. All the objectives are in no man's land. So this has a special rule of the stilled. At the start of each battle round, starting with the player who is taking the first turn, the players alternate selecting an objective marker and rolling off with their opponent. The player who rolls highest can move that objective marker a number of inches equal to the highest dice result. If the roll is a tie, the marker doesn't move. Each objective marker can be selected only once per round. So this is like the objective markers are all people, and they're robbed of their souls and minds, and they're kind of wandering around, and you're trying to control them.
It's that classic sitcom trope of you're on one side, I'm on the other, and there's like a dog in the middle, and you're like holding out treats. You're like, come here,
Right.
come here,
Yeah, exactly.
come here.
But like an objective marker that suddenly just moves like away from your opponent, like that could be a huge deal, especially like in the last rounds.
Especially if you only have like your toe in that aura, like holding that objective.
Right.
I just move it away from you.
Yeah, you roll a 6, I roll a 1. Now it moves 5 inches away, and now
Yeah.
I'm not scoring that. And so each player scores 5 victory points at the start of the battle round. Mm-hmm. So not during their turn, at the start of a battle round. So going second may be like beneficial
on
in
that,
this.
yeah.
For each objective marker they controlled, and at the end of the game, the player who controls the most gets 30 extra victory points.
I really like these high scoring,
Yeah.
like all or nothing
For sure.
things.
They're really fun.
Yeah.
So that one's pretty cool. Let's see here. Valley of the Dread is neat. Assault on the Complex. This one also has the quantum shielding generators, and this one's just like a bigger version of the other, the previous mission. So like for a bigger game.
Sure.
Kind of
same rule in that quantum shielding though,
Yep.
right?
And then same rules on the quantum shielding. And then they have, instead of abandoned city, they have abandoned district, which is just
larger.
more buildings.
More to investigate.
Yep.
So they tend to get your Scooby-Doo on.
So so that kind of goes through everything in this book. Then it just goes on to the basic rules. So again, if you have this Crusade book, you don't have to bring another rule book with you. You just have this one book. It's all in one complete package. You don't have to look for other stuff, which is really nice. Again, cutting down on the number of books that you have to carry. I also really like this artwork that they have in here. It's a bunch of Executioner Space Marines, like Primaris Marines, chopping up Black Legion. Looks awesome. That kind of concludes the overview of Crusade. John, do you have any thoughts about this?
I do. I love this format. So, as someone who owns the majority of the Apocalypse books, and a lot of the campaign supplements, like I have Crusade of Fire, other things, like I love themed campaigns. I mean, I know you and I are planning on doing a Crusade campaign because like we're really into that.
Yes.
This gives us such easy direction, right?
Oh my God.
What it does is it removes a lot of the pre-conversation where we're not like, what are we doing? What's the story going? What mission do you want to play? This is all kind of in one book. And we can theme it to being in the Prior Nexus because I know you were planning on playing Necrons anyway.
Yep.
Why wouldn't we do this?
It's perfect, man.
So I love the theme that they're pulling in, and I love the way, and again, we talked about this in a previous video with our the tactical deployment thing. I love how they're pulling everything together. So one of the big complaints, and like from a 6th edition Tyranid player all the way through to like an 8th edition Chaos player, having to take like 13 books with me.
I know, right?
Game,
yeah,
was the worst. The fact we're cutting down on 3 books because we don't need chapter approved.
Nope.
We don't need the main rule book.
Nope.
We don't need we just need the Crusade supplement. Is an amazing thing to do.
Yeah, and I think that this also has, and let me just double check this. Oh man. By the way, also there's this really cool artwork in the back that has this picture of a. I don't know if this is a model or what, but
please be Necron terrain, right?
Please be something cool. I'm trying to think. Does this have the Crusade rules in it? And I believe that it does.
I mean,
that's the only other thing. I mean, I would just imagine. I can't imagine it wouldn't. Right?
I don't think it does.
Okay,
if I'm being honest
I think so too. So I think you probably might need the Crusade rules from
the main book.
From the main book, yeah.
But even then, that's not necessarily something that has to be done on the day or when you're there playing the game, because that's all kind of post game stuff.
Right. The only thing is that I can think of is maybe like some of the objectives, like the what are they called? The agendas. I have to remember if the agendas in here are just reprints of the normal agendas or if they're actually just brand new ones. I don't remember. I haven't played Crusade yet, but I'm very excited
for this kind of like narrative game.
Oh, it's awesome!
It's amazing, and I like the format they're taking with these. I love the small size of the book, and kind of everything that this represents. And I'm really excited to see where they go next. Obviously, this one based around Necrons and the Pariah Nexus.
Right?
Are we going to have warp tinted planets? Are we going to get kind of battles inside the Cicatrix Maledictum? Are we going to get like? There's so much possibility for this, and to even revisit old Apocalypse books. And even old Imperial armors. We can do some in affiliate projects.
Oh, that would be so cool too.
There's so much you can do with this format. I'm a big fan.
I'm very excited, and like for them to take a lot of the paperwork out for us, or like a lot of the pre-planning and things like that, to where it's all set up for me. I don't have to worry about it. It's just another battle. I come to the battle and we kind of talk about what game we want to play, and then we go for it.
Because as much as we like to pretend we're professional podcaster, YouTubers, like we are. We have like families, full-time jobs as well. So kind of taking a lot of the the like conversation, like anytime we can save from having to be like, okay, what are we doing? Is time earned.
For real, it's really worth it to me to buy this book. So if you're gonna run a Crusade campaign and you want to run it in kind of a horror / Necron-esque environment, this is the book for you. You should totally buy it.
And if you don't, there's some really great narrative missions.
Heck yeah, just to play some games with. It's really great for that.
Like if you have, say, a Dark Eld or Drukhari slave raid you want to run, there's a mission you can do from that there, or like kind of a Black Legion kind of jump and grab.
Like, for instance, like investigating that city could be you like gathering up slaves or protecting the populace from the Dark Eldar raiders. Like, look how easy that was for us to just like make something up on the fly.
And that was me doing that.
Right, which
Think
is
of what
even more impressive.
Can do.
Exactly. So I think that concludes our review of Crusade, the Beyond the Veil mission pack for Warhammer 40,000. If you enjoyed this, subscribe to our YouTube channel. Check us out on YouTube. Or check out our podcast. We release twice monthly, every other week. We also put all that stuff up on YouTube, so you can check us out. Check out our smiling faces.
Little sectionalized versions if you don't have the
if you don't have the time to listen to the whole thing.
Who does?
Yeah, just watch us talk about random stuff. All right. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.